Hey, welcome to Knit Night, everybody. Give me a little thumbs up or a yay or something in the chat if you can hear me all right. So I see there's a couple of people here. We'll wait a few minutes for people to join. So in the meantime, Tammy's here. Cookie Smith says hello. Where are you both from? Are you in the US? We have several Canadian knitters. Sometimes people join us from Australia, believe it or not. Florida, Georgia, welcome. Carolyn, welcome. Wisconsin, West by God, Virginia, Michigan, Massachusetts, excellent. New Brunswick, excellent. Kathy from Columbia, South Carolina, Columbia. I lived in Aiken, South Carolina once, many years ago. Brooklyn, as in New York. Houston, New Hampshire, all over. Catherine from Virginia, New York City, Los Angeles, another Florida, California, Kansas. That's great. Pennsylvania. All right. Okay. Well, I'm in Wyoming and we just had a big snowstorm. Ontario. Awesome. Buffalo, New York. Port, something I can't pronounce, California. St. Louis. Well, the weather, it's spring. We have spring snowstorms, and that's normal for Wyoming. It's not really, we have like a couple weeks of spring, and then all of a sudden it's summer. And spring here just means wet snow, but it still snows. No new babies yet. I knew somebody'd ask right away. I either miscalculated the due date or they're just waiting for better weather, which is fine. That's fine with me. Everybody's been inside. Everybody has been inside the barn for the last 36 hours, and they're fine. They're just napping and eating, and they're pretty spoiled. So everyone's fine. I'll put, when there's babies, I'll put something on my Instagram. If you want to follow along on me on Instagram, it's Jana_knit on Instagram. You can follow me there. That's probably the best thing to do. Or, okay, Michigan, Texas. Lisa's moving to Denver, worried about the snow. But you're moving to Denver. They plow. And yeah, you might find that a little bit of a culture shock from Florida, but they plow. I live in the middle of nowhere. We don't have the plow come by. Arkansas. I lived in Arkansas once. Chen Yumei is from Taiwan. Awesome. Okay. So let's do this. If you have a question for me, a knitting related question, it melts in Denver. Yes, it melts everywhere. If you have a question, knitting question, you want me to be sure to see it in the chat, make sure that you type the word question all in caps so that I will see it, or Lindsay, who's my moderator, one of us will see it. Okay. One of us will see the word question all in caps, and then that'll clue me that that's for me, because you guys are welcome to talk amongst yourselves and, whatever. But if you type your question all in caps, then I'll be sure to see it, and that'll draw my attention to it, and I'll be able to address it. Oh, Oregon. Yep. I lived in Oregon once. I lived on the coast for about 15 years, actually. Awesome. So I will let me change my thing to go live chat. Hopefully that's chronological. I'm hoping. Okay. So now I think I have the chronological in order, so I'll know. Right. So I have to, while you guys are thinking of questions or whatever you want to talk about, I have to tell you, I started a new shawl pattern today, and it's just worsted weight. I'm just knitting this for a local fundraiser. We have a local family who's had a lot of healthcare issues, and they've racked up a lot of expenses. And so a bunch of ranch and farm people are going to do benefit bingo, bingo is a ton of fun. It's old school, I realize, but I love bingo. Anyway, so then they're going to have a silent auction, or not a silent auction, a regular auction. And they've actually have an auctioneer guy coming. So people are doing things to auction off for this fundraiser for this family. And so I'm doing a shawl. It's a Stephen West pattern that's called Dot Rays. Here, I'll put that in the chat. And it's not a free pattern. His patterns are great. And it's called, okay, Bailey, I see your question. Hang on for me just a second. It's called Dot Rays by Stephen West. And I was tickled. I've never done an applied I-cord. Well, I don't know if it's called an applied I-cord. You knit the I-cord on the edge as you go. I think an applied I-cord might be something you apply after the fact. I'm not sure about that. I'm kind of new to the I-cord thing, but it's fantastic. And I'm like, why have I not knitted this edge on all of my shawls? So it's so much better than just that garter stitch thing where you just, or even the slip stitch. It's so much better. It's more tidy. Can you see the edge of that? It's very tidy. See how it's kind of a cord, right? It's very, very tidy and it's durable. Yeah, I was pretty happy about that, about finding that. It's an I-cord tab beginning cast on, and then it's you knit this I-cord edge as you go. So it's very tidy and durable, and I love it. I don't know why I haven't done this before. Okay, let me find Bailey's question. Okay, I am working on a cardigan and have to pick up 336 stitches. Grimace face. I always struggle with this, especially when some of my rows end in purls. Any tips or advice? Are you to that point yet where, okay, when I know that I have to pick up, when I know I have to pick up stitches, and that's one reason I always kind of try to skim through the pattern and read ahead and get an idea of what's going to happen before I actually begin knitting. But in that case, that's why it's of benefit to always slip the first stitch purlwise, because it makes a nice chain edge in the same way that if you followed along with any of my sock heel flap videos, I always slip the first stitch. It makes a nice chain edge and it's easier to pick up because you want to pick up one stitch for each row. So I always slip the first one. Now, if it's too late for that and you've already done it, then you're just going to have to go along and figure out. You can tell what a purl stitch is because you'll see the purl bump, and then you'll know the knit stitch is the next one. So if you see two bumps, that's going to be a purl and a knit in the middle and a purl. Then just try to space it as evenly as you can if you're unsure where that knit stitch is in between on the edge. So yeah, that's it. It is cumbersome for sure and a little tedious. So I would suggest maybe a drink first, or maybe not if that messes you up. Okay. Oh, Lindsay, thank you for putting the link to the pattern on there. Okay, Pamela says, question, if I'm using two different yards that have bands, okay, wait, Pamela says, if I needles or should you always block your swatch? Okay, if I'm under question using two different yarns in the same project that the labels on the yarn recommend different needle sizes, is if I'm understanding your question right, I would not use two different size. Well, you need to use whatever size needle gives you the gauge the pattern calls for, regardless of what that is. You need to use whatever needle and yarn combination together that gives you the gauge that's consistent for the whole project. So if you have to change needles for each yarn to achieve that consistent gauge throughout your project, then yeah, you'll need to do that. And should you block your swatch? Are you going to block your finished project? Ideally, you want your swatch to be representative of the finished garment. So if you're swatching in pattern, or if you're swatching in knit stitch or garter stitch, you want that swatch to be like you just took a cutout of this right here. You want it to be representative of the finished product so you know what to expect. Oh, I'm not ashamed of liking bingo. I love bingo. I'm like bingo fanatic. And you know what? I like to be the bingo caller. Okay. Donna, you didn't miss anything. That's fine. You didn't miss much. Oh, Lindsay, Kathleen says the link that you provided takes you to people to your page. But it works for you. Anyway, but people can look it up. Go to Ravelry and type in dot rays in the pattern. You'll find it. But thank you, Lindsay, for trying to link it. It's fine. Okay. You're welcome, Racine. We haven't seen you in a while either. Okay, the link worked for Danny. Good. All right. Cool. So Josie, oh, good. No, I'm glad that worked for you. Josie says Your join in the round saved me. I was ready to give up on the cables. So when I read shorthand and I read faster than I talk, and somebody made a comment on on the last time we did a live stream, somebody made a comment that I would read like snippets of the questions but not actually finish it. And then they weren't able, they couldn't get the whole gist of it, because for some reason in this format, when I just click the button and go live, it does not show the chat on the replay. And I didn't know that. And so I'm in process of investigating other better ways of going about doing the live stream so that I can enable the live chat replay alongside the screen, but I haven't had a chance to sort all that out yet. So been a little busy. Yeah, busy knitting and stuff. So I need to be mindful of that though, and read the entire question so that when people watch it back, they'll get the gist of what. Okay. Yeah, Pamela, I did understand your question. So I hope that helped. I hope that explanation of the two different yarns, whatever you need to do to get the consistent gauge across your project. Okay. Okay, Lisa, I see your question, but next time type all in caps so I won't miss it. You are using worsted weight, although it says D. Yes, I am. I am using worsted weight for the dot raised shawl because there is instructions, I think on the pattern it says or worsted, and worsted is bigger than DK, so it's just going to make a bigger shawl, and I don't feel like gauge is really a huge issue with a shawl because bigger is better, and worsted is what I have more of. So yes, I'm using worsted. Let's see. Good, Tammy, I'm glad. I'm glad you were able to come. Okay, Debbie says, question. How do you begin each row so there is a consistent edge to pick up the stitches later? You mentioned it in one of your videos. Okay. All you need to do is when you begin your video, when you begin your project, slip the first stitch as if to purl, and then carry on. And then when you get to the other side, if you're knitting back and forth like in a heel flap of a sock or a shawl, if you're knitting back and forth, slip the first stitch as if to purl, knit across, and then it'll make it even better if you knit the last stitch in your row, knit it through the back loop. Then when you turn your work, you're going to slip the first stitches again, knit across, knit through the back loop. Or if you're purling, you won't purl through the back loop, you just purl across. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful. Josie, I'm sorry about your internet. I'm assuming everything seems fine on my end. Hopefully it's not mine. If someone else is having trouble with internet and it's me, type that in the chat. Hopefully that's not the case. Hi from New Brunswick. All right. Yes, I have more worsted in my, and this is just one of those giant Karen cakes, and I happen to have had this in my stash for quite some time. It was on sale someplace, and I thought, this is for a fundraiser, and so I don't know if whoever's going to buy it at the auction will have the inclination or the knowledge to hand wash a piece. So yeah, going for that. All right. Let me make sure I haven't missed any questions here. Okay, Amorous, Catherine, thanks for drawing my attention to that. Amorous Joseph says, I have a question. Have you thought about making a vintage knit pattern? You mean, have I thought about like designing one or doing a knit along for? I guess I'm not sure what you mean by that. Okay. It says I'm buffering, but it's working fine for other people. If it's buffering on your end, then it's likely your connection, because I have a commercial internet connection, so I don't think it's buffering from here on the upload. Lindsay, can you chime in? Is everything fine on the stream on your end? So, okay. Other things I'm working on. I'm also doing the 3 Hohi Locatelli. Oh, sorry about the movement. The dog just crawled under the desk and he's like nesting and he just made my whole desk shake. So yeah. So I'm doing the 3-color cowl by Hohi Locatelli. And I'm struggling because I don't like the 3rd color that I picked. Okay, I don't like I don't like the third color that I picked. So now it's kind of in timeout because I got to go stash diving again. And I don't know. I don't like what I picked. So yeah, I had tried it with this, but I don't care for it. I need a solid. I feel like I need a solid. Now, if I had this purpley sort of color as a solid, I might go for that. I don't know. Okay, Russell says it's fine on my end, but I'm in Michigan. Okay. Okay, Carolyn, thank you for typing question in caps. Carolyn says, my pattern says use a 3.25 millimeter needle, knit 8 3/4 inches, break yarn, cast on 2 additional stitches by using 4 millimeter needles, knit across. Would I continue using the 4 millimeter or change to the 3.5? You mean when? When are you, when, I guess, what are you at? Does it tell you to change back? Darlene says teal would look nice. I have some, and I'm not sure about that either. See? Okay, the color is not showing up accurately on the monitor, but this is like, I don't know. A fine solid purple. Ooh, that might be good. I might have to find some purple. Okay, Carolyn, I'm not sure. I would not change back unless the pattern tells you to. The pattern's wanting you to go to a larger size needle for some reason. I mean, I don't know what you're knitting, if it's a sweater or what you're changing needles for, but I would just do what it tells you. Trust the pattern unless you have experience and reason to think otherwise. Okay. Megan likes the third color. You like this one? Okay, now that's a little better. Oh. Maybe. I hadn't thought about that. Huh. I'll have to let you know what I decide. I'm gonna try to look in my screen to see a better color representation. Huh. Okay. The purple. I like purple too. I know I don't have this in like a solid in purple. I don't think, maybe I do. I'll have to go hunt through my scraps of stuff. Oh, this above my head, that's not sock yarn. That's an entirely different gauge. That's like worsted, some hand spun funky stuff. Somebody said the yarn above your head, and that's not the same at all. Okay. Yeah. Well, you're right. There is purple behind me, but that's not it. Megan says she loves the pattern too, the 3-color cowl. And I want to find colors to make one. Yes, make one for yourself. Yes. So that's what else I have going on the needles. I still have my mother's sweater I need to work on. What else? This coming month, in May, I'm not sure. I don't think we're going to start a knit along in May. We could. I'll tell you what I want to do, and I'll have to just post in the group and see if anybody wants to do this. I have another fundraiser knit along thing that I'm doing, but I haven't decided what exactly I want to knit. And there's a shawl that I want to remake that I had to frog a long time ago. It's in one of my videos. There's a video about tinking, frogging, and righteous ripping or something like that. It's called that. And it's the one, it was kind of a rose colored shawl that it's called the scroll work shawl. You can find that on Ravelry. I'll type that in the chat. By Very Busy Monkey is the name of the designer. Anyway, I had to rip the whole thing because there was mistakes and I couldn't unsee it. And it was a cable crossings that were jacked up. And so I ripped the whole thing, and I'd really like to re-knit that for this fundraiser and bring you all along with me. So go look that up and see if you think you'd want to do that as a knit along. It is a paid pattern. So it wouldn't be me walking you through it row by row. I would be walking you through the techniques used to do it. Did I do the gnome? I paid for the pattern. I have not started the gnome, so I'm behind. I didn't knit along. I'll be knitting late. If I do the spring garden gnome, I'll be doing that later. Late joiner from Australia. Glad you made it. Welcome. Okay, Carolyn, no, it does not tell you to switch back your needles. Then I wouldn't. I mean, I don't know what you're knitting, but if you're in the Facebook group, or the Ravelry, post over there and post the pattern. If it's a free pattern that we can look at with you, we're happy to help. Okay. All right. Debbie Lynn says, thank you. After several failed attempts over the years, I learned to knit. Oh, good. I'm glad you learned to knit. Okay. Lindsay says, yes, she would love to do the scroll work shawl. I think we might. We'll see what everybody else thinks, but I think that would be a lot of fun. Okay. Tammy says, oh, sorry, my dog is making, yeah. Okay. All right. So let's see what else we're working on. I'm going to start that shawl. So if we do a knit along, I'm going to have to double team it. If we do a knit along in May, it's going to have to be something I can work on at the same time I'm doing this other fundraiser. So this is something I do annually. We kind of delayed having a knit along last summer until I was finished with the Celtic Myth shawl that I did for this same organization fundraiser last year. And I'll put that in the chat. That one's a lot of fun too, but I did it last year. So yeah. So I don't want to reknit it, the same thing for the same event. But if you wanted to learn how to, you knit the whole shawl, it's a semicircle, and you knit the whole thing, it's just stockinette, or maybe it's even garter. I think it's stockinette stitch though. So it actually has a right side and wrong side. And then the cable Celtic knotwork goes all the edge, and it's thick. It's like 4 or 5 inch border, and it's fantastic. So our shawl, Bailey asks, are shawls your favorite option for fundraisers? Seems to be the most popular choice. You know, it's not size specific. So for me, I guess it would be, because people, of all sizes are more apt to bid on it for an auction. For example, it appeals to a wider audience because it doesn't have to be fitted. Like socks are obviously not a great choice for that, because I would have no idea what size to knit. Right. So Pamela says, question, I want to make a shawl, but have never tried lace work. I have tons of fingering weight, but it terrifies me. Is there an easy beginner one? There are many. Let me make a note. Pamela, you're in the patron group, if I recall. Let me make a note to put some suggestions for you in there. Like right on the back of an envelope. Have you done, Pamela, have you done cables before? The Celtic Myth one that I just mentioned wouldn't be a bad one to start with. It is a little quirky at the bottom edge. Another one that you might think about is called the Reyna, R-E-Y. I'll just type that in the chat. R-E. And then if you want to talk about it, well, we can look at it together in the Patreon group if you're over there. The Reyna shawl, I have had several newer people knit that. There's one called Easy Goes It. That's an okay one. Carolyn, when you try to post, it says a moderator has to approve and they don't end up posting. Do you mean in the Facebook group or here? If you're talking about the live chat here, if you try to type too many messages at once, YouTube can slow you down. So that it keeps one person or a potential spammer troll from monopolizing the live chat. So if you're talking about the Facebook group, if your posts are not being approved in the Facebook group, then that's because you're not posting in accordance with the group rules. So I would review that and try again. Okay. Somebody typed Pumpkin Seed 45 says, I need help knitting sweaters. Go on my YouTube channel. There's a playlist for the Harvest cardigan. That's a very good beginner sweater pattern. And I did a whole series of tutorial videos for that pattern last summer. So you might try that. Pamela says, no cables, but I am up to learning. Okay. Go look on Ravelry at the Reyna shawl and the Easy Goes It shawl and see what you think of those. If you don't care for those two particular patterns, then we'll find you something else. But those might be a couple to start with. Oh, you had foot surgery, so you have lots of time to learn. Okay, go check on those two, and then we can talk about that in the patron group. If you're new here and you're not sure what I mean by the patron group, um, I have patrons that help support this YouTube channel. And in trade for their financial support, I offer certain perks like admittance to a private Facebook group that's patrons only. And then we have patron only knit night in a different format than this, where it's not just me talking, it's we're actually face to face with split screens and it's like knit night and everybody on. So that's been a lot of fun too. And so if you're interested in checking that out, go to patreon.com/Purl Together. So for as little as $5 a month, you can support this channel and then take advantage of those other benefits as well. Elizabeth says, hi, I love your channel and have been recommending you to others in my knit group. Thanks again for your great knit alongs. Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's excellent. Okay, Pamela, if I think of some others, I'll tag you in the patron group on Facebook and we'll go from there. Amanda says, I'm doing the harvest cardigan for my new doing the baby harvest cardigan. Amanda, what color are you doing it? I want to see pictures. Post them in the group. That would be great. Congratulations on the new baby niece. All right. Oh, Carolyn, if you mean your Facebook, then you need to go and review rules to have your post approved, because what that means is that you need, if you're sharing something, it needs to have specific pattern and yarn information included as a courtesy to people that are new. And if you don't include the proper information in your post, then it won't. So just go review the rules. They're really simple. And then you're good to go. Okay. So you guys can decide what I need to think about that. I need to look at my schedule. I think what I want to do for the next knit along is probably another shawl, because I love them so much and they're easier for fundraisers. But in the next couple of weeks, we're going to do some other, I'll do some other videos that are having to do with fixing things, right? So you can look forward to that. The next week, at least one video, maybe two, depending on how it goes or how long it ends up being and how much I ramble on, will be on how to repair a sock. So how to darn a sock. So if you have worn a hole in the bottom of the heel, or you've worn a hole in, I tend to wear holes in the ball of my foot. And so how to repair that and not have to just chuck the whole sock. Now, if you wear a hole in the toe, then obviously you could just tear that back if you've knitted it cuff down. And anyway, I'll talk about all that. So it's going to be a video on how to repair things. Okay, Susan Henry says, question, where can I find the most active posts on people's emerging Nora's Afghan swears? On Ravelry, or if you're talking about in the Facebook group, just go to the search bar on the Facebook group and type in block, I guess would be a good keyword search term. Or, right. People have been posting in Work in Progress Wednesday, but I would type in the word block. That'll come up because people are referring to it as block number 1, block number 2, block 3, and so forth. If you have a specific question about it, though, about that, you can ask in the group or ask here. Thank you. Fixing things video. Okay. Amanda, oh, the baby niece harvest cardigan is pink with a little grayish color and maybe blue. I'm also knitting the ocean depth shawl. I'll have to look at that one. I haven't seen that one. Or maybe I did see it from you posted that. Eileen says, thanks for teaching us how to read our knitting. I love your videos. You're welcome. It was really interesting to me, this last one, that people commented, oh, I would have never thought of that. You know, with the fixing stuff without a crochet hook. I just had to figure stuff out. I have no idea how I figured that out. It just occurred to me to do that. So Good. I'm glad that Danny says that fixing things. Yes, I am a self-taught, but getting better at fixing rather than starting over. Advice and tips are always needed. Sometimes you have to. Sometimes we all stuff. I mean, I was thinking back that shawl I showed you about the right. My account was off, and he's got Stephen West, the designer. Every so often, he'll say, 121 stitches at the end of the row, or how. Well, I was off, and I didn't know why. And then I found it. And so, I mean, I was tinking back like, 50, 60 stitches. I will do that rather than fudge it because I'm just that OCD about it. 45, is this going to be posted on YouTube later? Yes, I will post the replay of this live stream. Yes. Okay. All right, Cookie, if you have very wide feet, you just need to go to the sock. Well, first you need to swatch, and you need to get your chosen yarn and your needle, how many stitches per inch, so you can know how many to cast on. And I'll walk you through that. If you started with either the customizable toe-up sock playlist or the basic cuff down one or the Hermione, any of those playlists, just go check out all the playlists and you'll see the ones I'm referring to. And those are, we walk you through how to do it. All right, bye, Donna. Lindsay says, I'm much more meticulous. I'd rather just start over. I know, but it's not, you don't have to just rip. You got to learn how to tink it back, because if you're, I mean, I don't want to just tear all this out. If I find a mistake, I'm not going to tear all this out at this point unless it's really bad, especially if it's something I'm happy with. I did start a shawl last night, and I probably knitted 6 inches, and then I was like, nah, I don't really like it. Then I ripped it and went look for something else, and I happened upon this one. So, okay, Deborah, why can't you get it right when you're knitting a sock gusset? And Bailey says she's working on the Hermione's now. Love them. That's a good pattern. It's been very, very popular on Ravelry. The Hermione sock was very popular last year for sure. I think I just fixed my audio. Am I louder now? I just realized I had a problem with the audio. So hopefully it's more clear now. So I apologize about that. Okay, I'm just reading here. Okay. Yes, it is better. Oh, sorry about that. I'm sorry about that. I fixed it. Okay, I apologize. I have technical difficulties sometimes. Sorry about that. Yes, you can always save stuff to your own playlist too. And the other little thing I've discovered, well, I've known this for a while, but do you all know you can save a post on Facebook as well? You can save it for later and categorize it and go back to it. So, bonsoir from a little village in Quebec. Your videos have helped me really progress in my sock knitting super tips. Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth. That's very nice. Life goes on. Life goes on? Yes, it does. For a second I thought, is that the name of a pattern? Sorry, Georgia. Okay. Good. All right, you guys are fantastic. So I'm going to have to decide about the cowl. The other thing I need to do is figure out what yarn I need to do for the scroll work shawl. Maybe we should just plan on that. If there's enough interest, maybe we'll not vote this time and I'll just, we'll just do it. If people want to join in, they can. If not, they don't have to. Question. Ambi says, question, favorite colors to, I don't know. I seem to, favorite colors to knit with, it depends. It depends on the season. I'm more between, I like gray, obviously. There's a lot of gray going on here. The turquoise, blue, purple. I'm trying to branch out into more kind of earthy fall colors. I do not knit with pink or neon. I'm really not a pink, I'm really not a pink kind of thing. No pink. I like a lot of different colors, but I would say I was about to say I like warmer colors, but maybe that's not true because that's the cooler spectrum. I don't know.
I don't really have a favorite. Lindsay says, you're the boss. Yes, yes, I am. Hashtag boss knitter. That's right. All right. Keep the questions coming. All right. Beverly says, looking at the color wheel, why not use yellowish gold tone for your cowl? Because I probably don't have any yellowish gold in my stash, but I will look. I get in a rut, and a lot of my stash is similar blues, purple, greens, you know, from years ago. And then I have trouble justifying buying new yarn because I have a lot of yarn. But again, it's like a lot of the same, like that craziness down there. That was something my kids bought. So, do you use sock blockers or steam block? You know, Cookie, really the only time I use sock blockers is for photographing. I don't block my socks normally unless it's for a gift or I need to take pictures, because usually by the time I get done with them, it's for my husband or the kids or me, and I just wear them. I don't usually block socks at all, unless it's for a gift or photos. I do not use anything. No, if I block something, I have a video about blocking. That's pretty much how I block everything. Is I just put it in water, soak it, roll it up in a towel, mash it on the counter. Yeah. So I have a video on how I block my work on the channel. Okay, Danny says, I love shawls and I'm working on one. My roommate's dog ate the almost finished product and now I'm not nearly as far. I would like to finish a shawl. Wow. Wow. Did the dog survive that? Oh my word. Cindy says, yes, I just looked at the scroll work shawl. Yes, let's do that. Okay. Oh my word, you guys and your dogs. Vanessa says, Danny, my dog did the same thing to my scarf. Oh my word. My dog doesn't even mess with any of it. I'll tell you what though, my cats are naughty. The cats, you've seen in my video, the cat will be like all over stuff. Yeah, cats are naughty. Yeah, and I have some wooden, when I first started knitting, I used a lot of bamboo needles because it's what I had. It's what I could afford. It's what my mother gave me or whatever. And they have teeth marks on them because the cats they'd chew on them. So I had to pretty much put everything away. So they're naughty. And Ambi says, question, what are your favorite places to buy yarn? I just look for sales. So in the Facebook group, there was a thread on that here lately, yarn.com, which is webs. They have really good sales sometimes. Sock yarn, I found some really good deals on clearance stuff at LipTillKnits. They're in Seattle. Where just Jamie Bean's wool there. I mean, there's a bajillion places. You just got to do your Googling. Google is your friend. Google is my friend. Oh, I have to tell you, this is funny. If you're bored one night, go look up this. Here, I'll put it in the chat. So when somebody, I have not done this, and I would not do this. I don't think I would do this. Maybe I would. But there's a website called letmegoogle.that4you.com. So it's lmgtfy.com. Go check that out. I would not send you to anything inappropriate, but it's hilarious because when somebody asks, like, I don't know, what date is Easter? Because, Easter changes every year. Well, you can Google that. And so when you go to Let Me Google That For You, it shows you typing that in, and then it makes a link of you typing it in for the person who's asking the question. It's hilarious. Stephanie Gonzalez says, question, what does a plain Gary block? Okay, Stephanie, if you're typing on a phone, your autocorrect has totally jacked that up. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. Plain Gary block. I don't know what that is. I'm sorry. So if you can retype your question, that would be helpful because phones are stupid. Do well at all on my phone. I spend more time backspacing and fixing stuff than it's worth. I'll just like wait till I get home and type on an actual keyboard. I'm not good at the phone thing. Okay, Elizabeth says, how exactly does one steam block? You know, I've never done it. I can surmise, but I have not actually done it. I would YouTube that. I know that like back in there's steamer machines that actually have a wand and it blows out steam, and I would assume you would put a garment on a form, like a sweater or something on a form, and then steam it, and it's on a form, and so the steam would cause the yarn to relax. So the only time I've ever steamed yarn when we've hand spun, and we've spun and then made a skein, and the yarn, you need to set the twist. When you're spinning things, you need to set the twist. So if I have a skein that's on my hands, I'll get the tea kettle going, and the steam from the tea kettle will set the twist, and I'll hold the skein like this and go back and forth over the shooting steam from the tea kettle. So I've done that, and I'm assuming the steam blocking of a garment would be similar in that it just sets the form. Okay. Steam pressing, but don't press. Right. Okay. Good. Cookie says, what type of yarn do you recommend for a summer tank top? You know, I like merino. I like merino wool for everything. And it's not wool in this. I mean, people think wool's only for winter, but it's really not. Wool can help absorb dampness, and it's naturally helps with smells that are not necessarily pleasant. If you don't want to do that, or someone's allergic to wool, you can look for a cotton blend or a bamboo cotton blend. But usually whatever pattern that you find for a knitted summer kind of tank top would have a recommendation as well. So. Okay, Eileen says Arne and Carlos have a good YouTube video on sweater steam blocking. Yeah, oh, good. Yes, Arne and Carlos, you know, being Norwegian knitters, have done a fantastic job. They have knitted many more, certainly Fair Isle Norwegian style sweaters lots more sweaters than I have. So that's definitely a good resource. Okay, Linda says, question, the girl at my local yarn shop knits her sweater sleeves 2 at a time like socks. Do you ever do this? I have not. I could. I mean, I am confident that I am capable of that because I can knit socks 2 at a time. I just prefer not to, and I'll explain why. I don't like knitting a lot of people love 2 at a time because they don't like the second sock syndrome, or being stuck on Sleeve Island, as it is called, where people take forever. So I do not, because if you're knitting across, like let's say you have your sleeves on this big long, and they're both side by side, you're going across like socks. If you go across the front of one, then you go across the front of the other, and then you turn to work and you go across the back of sleeve B and then the back of sleeve A. Well, let's say you find a mistake on the back of sleeve B when you were going across the backside. Well, now you have to tink back across sleeve A to get back to the mistake you made on sleeve B. That's when you knit stuff 2 at a time. Well, and I don't really have a problem with Sleeve Island or second sock syndrome. It's never really been an issue for me. So you can, and I understand why people do. It's just that I don't. So, okay. Ambi, I'm not going to address that. We're not going to talk about food and diets. So, yeah. Okay. I haven't knitted a whole lot of sweaters. I've done 4 or 5, but I haven't done a lot of sweaters. I've done more probably baby sweaters than anything else. So, okay, Stephanie says, question, in the knit pattern, there is a plain gray block. Does it mean not to make a stitch? Oh, you mean, okay. For a second, I thought you meant like the blocks that I'm knitting in gray for Nora's vintage Afghan. I'm like, what? Now I get what you mean. Okay, what I think I understand is that you've got a chart and it has a gray square in your chart. There is no stitch there. Just skip right on over that and carry on. You do not knit anything. And it should say in your pattern, on the key of your pattern, it should specify that that gray block means no stitch. There's nothing there. But in order to make a chart and make a rectangle chart rather than, you know, a cone-shaped chart, they have to fill in that space with something in the chart making software. Cookie asks, are you a fan of 9-inch needles? I am not. Lindsay loves them, so she can talk to you about that. I don't care for the small circular sock knitting needles. I don't really care for them because I have big hands. I know people say that doesn't matter, but to me it does. It's total knitter preference. The tiny little circular needles that you knit socks with, the reason I don't like the small ones, and I keep looking down, I thought I had one here, but I don't know. I put it in my drawer, I guess. The reason I don't care for them is because the needle portion of it is only like 2.5 inches, and I find that my hands kind of start to cramp up with that, just the way that I knit. Whereas I prefer the full 5-inch needle length, or I can get by with 4. But I really dislike the tiny needles. Lindsay loves them. I know. I'm happy for you. I don't care for them, and I find that they change my tension quite a bit when I've tried to use them. So, okay. I would just say try it. You know, if you like smaller needles, if that's okay with you to have that shorter, try it. Get one and try it. Okay. All right, so about another 15 minutes, and then I'm going to go make dinner and check barn babies. They're messing with me. I really thought somebody would have been born by now, especially with the barometric pressure dropping, but no. Okay, Lori Larson says, question, on my yarn band, by the washing icons, there is a square with a dash in the center. What does that mean? A square with a dash in the center. Huh. Let me see if I have something that looks like that. A square with the dash in the center. Does it mean don't put it in the dryer? I don't know. You might have to Google the yarn label icons. A square with a dash. I don't have that. Huh. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't pay a lot of attention to those. I don't know what that particular icon means by the washing. Maybe it means don't put it in the dryer, or I don't know. I would say some of that's going to depend on the fiber content. Yes. Ambi question says, do you actually wear your shawls? Yes, I've worn them in several of my videos. I know you usually see me in a hoodie, but I do wear them. Usually just not around the house, or yes. Evelyn says, I do not have big hands, but they bother my hands too. I love DPNs. I started with DPNs, and then I use them to the point where hands, I think over time makes them bow. My mom has several that are like that. She just keeps knitting. She just keeps using them, which is fine. I like circulars. I like magic loop. So that's great. Okay. I do not usually hum when I'm knitting. Xerix Helix says, silly question. When you're knitting, do you find yourself humming? What song is it? I usually don't. I don't hum. I'm not a big whistler, hummer. No. Usually I'm doing Netflix or sitting in the kitchen talking to somebody. Yeah. Thank you. Lindsay says, Google says if there's a cross. Now, but Lori, is it a cross through the center or is it a dash? I don't know. If it's a cross, like the big X, then you don't want to put it in the dryer. But if it's a dash, I don't know what that means. Okay. Jody Miller says, question, I asked this question about the right twist stitch on square number 4 in the Facebook group. Is that the same as a right twist? Well, yes and no. Jody, I'm going to have the video about that, so I'm not going to cover details about a upcoming video, right? Because if I did that, I mean, I don't mean any offense at all, but if I did that, I would have people asking me questions about square number 14 when we're still on square number 3. And I haven't knitted square 14 yet. So you see what I mean? I still have all the yarn for upcoming squares over here. But yes, the directions are really very clear. If you'll just do exactly what it tells you, and if it's still not, if you're not digging it and it's still not working for you, then square number 4 video will be out on the 30th. Okay. Oh, Lindsay says the dash means dry flat. Okay. Thank you, Lindsay, for Googling that. All right. So if you have, yeah, dry flat, I guess don't put it in the dryer. Want to block it and dry it on a towel? Okay. Hi, Karen. Welcome. Well, right, Lori, you were confused. This is wool, so I was confused. There is a lot of superwash wool. Some people put their socks in the dryer. I don't, but a lot of people do. I know Val, who's a friend of mine. She's in our group. She's one of the moderators in our Facebook group. She puts all her hand-knitted superwash wool socks in the dryer. Wash and dry, just like everything else. So, right. So, Jody, about the right twist, it's an easy thing for me to easy to explain, and that's the point about the video, is that you need to do exactly to it. You need to trust the pattern. Don't overthink it. Just go. When I have a question on a pattern or there's a step-by-step instruction that totally throws me off, and I'm like, wait, what? I don't understand that. I have to force myself to not think ahead. I have to force myself to not overthink. Trust what the sentence tells me and do exactly what it tells me, from the right needle to the left needle and so forth. So, okay. All right. So we have some weird people showing up in the chat that we can put in timeout and make them go away. All right. Okay. So does anybody have any other questions? Type in the chat what you're working on right now. And also, I want to say, if you're joining us on this live stream, but you're not already a member of the Purl Together Facebook group, hop on over there. You'll have one simple question and a few rules to read before you're admitted to the Purl Together Facebook group. We'd like to have you over there as well. But we do keep things on topic, and we do have some group rules that help run the, it just helps keep the group running smoothly. Ray is knitting a cowl. Awesome. Is it the 3-color cowl like this one, or is it a different pattern? I kind of got into cowls. I think I showed you guys the first one I made. I called it the abbreviated 3-color cowl because I knitted it in sport weight instead of fingering. So I just did 3 bands instead of 5. But it looks, I wore this in a different video too. Anyway, it's pretty heavy and it's very nice and squishy. Okay. Georgia is knitting socks and crocheting 2 different shawls. Good. Ambi says, yes, I'm not trying to be rude. Do you think of yourself as a yarn snob? No, not really. It kind of depends. I appreciate very good yarn. I appreciate yarn that is of fibers that are more expensive, that are nice to knit with. I also knit with acrylic. I am a snob, I guess, in some ways, because if I'm knitting something like this, I know it's going to be heirloom quality, $1 block a month, then yes, I will spend $20+ a skein, because that's going to be an Afghan that's going to be on my couch for decades. So it depends on the purpose. Yeah, in some ways I am a snob. I guess it depends. Right. Okay, Lori's knitting a nap blanket. Sharon, welcome. Haven't seen you in a while. I'm glad you joined us. Loving the monthly squares. Good, good. Okay, Holly is working on an asymmetrical shawl knit and fingering that's taking forever. More Netflix knitting, right? Right? More Netflix time. Susan is working on the skein deer mitts before the cold weather is completely gone. Okay. Yep, Catherine's working on square one. Esmeralda is doing the second pair of customizable toe-up socks and loving it. Thanks, you're welcome. I'm glad you're doing that. Okay. Harvest cardigan, doing the harvest cardigan for a 5-year-old. Socks on a plane. Are those the ones that are knit from the toe up and they have a little cable on the side? I made those once. And then something called Drop 'em Like It's Hot shawl. Okay. All right, Karen is doing the Inara wrap. No, wait, not the Inara. Isla wrap? Or is that the Inara wrap? And the third block of the, the only judgment I have about acrylic yarn, I shouldn't say I don't have any judgment, kind of I do. I try to limit the use of acrylic or my purchase of acrylic yarn just because I think it's made of synthetic. It's actually plastic and nylon. And I personally am trying to be more conscious of consumer use of plastic. So I have some, I'm not going to throw it out. I have some in my stash that I will work through, but I will be limiting my purchase of acrylic yarn in the future. Okay, working on a crown hawthorn tee. Good. Yep, Kathleen, for sure. You're doing the Nora's vintage Afghan over and over. That's going to be so great. Your kids are going to love those. A vest. Someone else's. Pamela's doing a vest. Oh, Karen ordered her Chow Goo Twist interchangeable needle. Excellent. You will love those. Best thing I ever bought was my needle set. Okay, Jill says, I am tatting. I first glanced down and read that as tattoo. You're tattooing. Okay, you're tatting. That's so hard. I never got into that. That's hard. Currently trying to design mixing tatting windows in a knitted fabric. I don't even know what that means. It's complicated. Beverly says she's knitting a Free Stephen West shawl, the Metaloose. Is that how you say that? Metaloose shawl? I'll have to look that one up. I love Stephen West stuff. He's crazy. Love it. Okay, little red webs just joined us. Hello from New Zealand. Doing the coffee talk socks. Those are from Tracy Grocery Girls. Nice. Doing the Afghan square tomorrow. Okay. Oh, good. Judy says she did the world's easiest mitts, followed along with our tutorial, and it came out awesome. Excellent. Eleanor is making a sweater for her husband, the Jethro jacket by Murray, lots of cables. And Kim is doing the, I can't ever pronounce that, amigurumi Star Wars. I can't ever say that word. I apologize. You're doing a Star Wars figure and the Nora's vintage Afghan. That's great. That's cool, you guys. All right. So give me a thumbs up. So if you have enjoyed our live stream, do a thumbs up so that YouTube will show our videos to more people. We are cruising up on 10,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel, hopefully this week. I'm super happy about that. So if you haven't clicked the subscribe button, please do. And the little bell, if you click the little bell and it looks like it's vibrating, it has the lines around the outside that indicate that you will get notifications when there's a new video uploaded. So, okay. Paula's doing the Scatterbee socks with my playlist. Awesome. Okay, thanks for the thumbs up, you guys. I appreciate that. YouTube likes that. What that means with the algorithms is that when we get more thumbs up, it shows the video to more people on the replay and directs more people to the channel by doing it as a recommended next video thing, however all that works. Okay. All right. Kathy says hello from Ontario. Cool. All right. Thank you, you guys. I appreciate you being here. What I will do, the other thing I wanted to say as a little bit of an announcement is until I can upgrade my brain with the technology that YouTube requires and be able to schedule live streams ahead of time, what I'm going to do is post on the channel header, you know, my logo at the top of the YouTube channel, what the date is of the next live stream. So hopefully every other week, every 2 weeks, unless I'm on vacation or something comes up. So, okay. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate that. If you have further questions, feel free to leave comments below this video if you want to ask questions later, and hop on over and join the Facebook group if you'd like to do that as well. All right. Thanks, you guys. Thanks so much for coming. Take care.